Hello and welcome to the first and almost definitely last episode of Luke Henry's Poetry Analysis Theater. Let's get cooking. Cooking with Crisco, because that's a thing that people say. Yeah, let me just mention that I already recorded this once, but my microphone wasn't on, so just when I thought I was done, I'm gonna have to re-record all of this, which is great, and we love technology. First, we're going to be taking a look at Radio Cure. I'm going to have to do this really fast because my battery's dying. Radio Cure. This is from the album Yankee Hotel Foxtrot, and in this song, Jeff Tweedy, the lead singer and also lyric writer for Wilco, he uses metaphors and sound effects to convey this theme of confusion in communication. So in the second verse of this song, as well as in the title of the song, Jeff Tweedy talks about radio cures and how his mind is filled with radio cures. These radio cures represent words that he wants to try to say, songs that he wants to write, but he can't do that for whatever reason. He just can't make the words work, you know? So he describes these words that are in his head as electronic and surgical words, and these words, they give a connotation of perfection and hope. That was a burp. As if they could solve all of his problems if he could only say them. Like, I am struggling to say words right now. So he contrasts this hopeful imagery of electronic surgical words with this imagery of clouds of fog and shrugging shoulders, which kind of represent his inner confusion and his outward seeming indifference. Alright, so there's that. And another way that Jeff Tweedy conveys this theme of confusion is through sound effects. And I think this is a really cool part of this album, just like the whole thing. He uses these, and they're audio tracks from this set of CDs called the Conet Project. They're CDs that are recordings of shortwave radio noise channels and numbers stations. And if you don't know what a shortwave radio numbers station is, first off, what are you doing, man? Get on that stuff. So they're like stations that government agencies and people can use to communicate with maybe spies or deployed soldiers overseas, and they're really coded, cryptic, really pretty eerie messages. Actually, let's just take a second to enjoy. Yeah, so it's pretty weird. So the shortwave radio stations are coded messages. I think this really represents words that the speaker of this song wants to say, but when they get to the person who is saying them to, they're kind of lost in translation and they're kind of misinterpreted or misunderstood. And I think that it's really cool that he used these shortwave radio messages to kind of convey that idea. And he does that throughout this whole album. It's great. So there's that. Another thing that represents this idea is this image that I took just today, and it's kind of an optical illusion. I'll put it up on the screen so you can see. This illusion represents misunderstanding and confusion and the ways that can affect the way that we see the world. So there's that. So coming up next, part 2 of Luke Henry's first and last episode of Luke Henry Poetry Analysis Theater thing. Where's the Orchestra by Billy Joel, from his 1982 release, The Nylon Curtain. And I think to fully understand this song, it's really important that we take a look at The Nylon Curtain as a whole. Throughout this album, particularly on songs like Goodnight Saigon and Pressure, he uses war imagery, particularly Vietnam War imagery. And this is really important in relation to Where's the Orchestra, because I think it conveys the emotions that a young soldier returning from the Vietnam War might feel. So the song is really a big extended metaphor, and the speaker in the song is a man who's gone to a musical, but there's no music, which would be pretty confusing. His story parallels one that a Vietnam veteran might have, because Vietnam War had very muddled and political objectives, and it would have been very confusing for a young man sent to war to understand these objectives. They're very unexperienced young men, and this is referenced by one of the lines that says, there's the leading man, the movie star who never faced an audience. And this represents somebody who doesn't have a whole lot of experience, and they're forced into a situation in which they must perform, either for an audience or for their lives. So in the end, the Vietnam War kind of a confusing conclusion in which it seemed like nobody really won and everybody lost. That's kind of a feeling that somebody might have if they went to a musical expecting to see a musical, but there was no music. They assumed that the show would have a song, so they were wrong. Up next, we have a painting by Peter Bruegel the Elder, Netherlandish Proverbs from 1559, which pretty much sounds like the most boring thing in the world, but is really not. So this is a really fun painting. It appears on the cover of the Fleet Foxes album. That's why I know that it exists. But this is a really cool painting. In this painting, Peter Bruegel the Elder uses warm colors and over 100 visual depictions of Netherlandish proverbs to convey a feeling of lighthearted chaos and confusion. So through the power of CIA-like zoom and enhanced technology, we can see that this man is banging his head against a wall, and that's a saying that can kind of represent like trying to do the impossible, banging your head against a brick wall. And Oriander in the, is that the left corner? Yeah, top left. Right? No. No, that's the right corner. It's late. Yep. Up here in the right corner you can see a man who's kind of warming his hands on the fire of this burning building. That kind of means that he's a guy who would do anything for his own personal benefit, regardless of the danger that it might cause to others. And over here, between the X and the E, you can, not really, but you can kind of see a guy who's trying to swat at 2 flies with 1 fly swatter. And we've all heard this one before. He's trying to kill 2 birds with 1 stone, or 2 flies with 1 swatter. Whatever the case may be. It must be some kind of weird like 1599 fly swatter, which I would be interested to see how that works. So the list goes on, and there's hundreds of these images hidden throughout this painting, and it creates this really kind of fun and chaotic take on human nature. And you can see how the warm colors kind of keep it lighthearted, so it's all fun and games. And with that, we conclude the first and most definitely last episode of Luke Henry Analyzes Poetry and other works of art and things that he has also made himself. So there we go. My camera died, my microphone wasn't on, and this probably isn't all gonna fit on the Mac later to edit.